It is now 7:06 p.m. I'd like to go ahead and start this meeting. The Board of Aldermen of the City of Brookshire will conduct a regular meeting on Thursday, August the 4th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the council chambers of the Brookshire Municipal Building located at 4029 Fifth Street. We'll do the prayer first. Would anyone like to give us a prayer for tonight?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Father. We thank you for the blessings that you bestow upon us. We come to you, Father, and humble ourselves before you and ask you for your wisdom and guidance to guide us as elected officials to do what's the best for the citizens in the city of Brookshire. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Rodney, would you call us to order, please, or do the roll call?
Yes, sir. Mayor Branch,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Branch,
Here.
Alderwoman Taylor, Alderman Hill,
Present.
Alderwoman Norino,
Present.
Alderman Stamps.
Present.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Chief, will you check the list back there on the table, see if we have any
Public comment.
public comments? It should be a little list right there on the table back there. I don't think we do.
Yep.
Right there. I don't think nobody signed up to speak.
Mr. McAnally.
Mr.
wants to
Yes.
say something.
McNally is saying yes, he did.
I told him I'll talk to him later. Nothing, sir? Oh, thank you, sir. Mr. Tony.
I can read that.
Mayor Branch, City Councilman. As I mentioned, the last meeting.
Sorry,
we
hold
did,
on
was
one
going to
second.
be-
Hold on
Hold
one
on,
second.
hold
Let
on.
me get. Do you have a microphone? Are you okay holding it? I can get the podium. Okay.
I mentioned at the last City Council meeting, I would be attending the meeting for the Waller County 150th anniversary celebration. I did attend that. That's being conducted by Judge Duhan is the county judge. And it was a good meeting. There are a lot of great plans being put into place. One of the key things that came up that I wanted to let you know about, and I've spoken to some of you individually about this, is that there's a great deal of interest in having Brookshire host the kickoff for that event. The event is currently scheduled to go from April 28th through May 5th, with May 5th being declared a county holiday for 2023. There's, as I said, a lot of interest in having Brookshire host some sort of a kickoff event through Brookshire, Pattison, Katy, kind of the southern end, and then they want to work their way north and end on Friday with a big celebration, parade, commemoration of a new time capsule plaque, et cetera, on the 5th up in Hempstead. So just know that that's in the works, and whatever support the city would like to do for that, I'm here to help make that happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I spoke to the judge last week, just dovetailing that real fast. And they're talking time period costumes and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a pretty interesting week-long celebration.
Okay. Agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding the use of positive pay on city payroll checks. Mr. Hill?
Mayor, we asked Ms. Harrison to come back for this agenda item as well as bank representatives, and I don't see either of them present tonight. So I would request that we table this to the next city council meeting.
Second.
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
Four.
And Ms. Nundo.
4.
Okay. Ms. Taylor's not here, so motion carries. Let's move to agenda item number 5. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1372, a resolution considering a variance for the sign area height requirements of section 46-6 of the Code of Ordinance for a proposed sign to be located at 523 FM 359 in Brookshire, Texas.
So Mayor and Council, on your resolution there, you'll see this is a request of a variance to the sign regulations of the code. Standard height, well, the permitted height is 8 feet. This is a request to have a 60-foot sign. The permitted area of the sign is supposed to be 32 square feet. It's unclear, but it's either 75 square feet or as much as 225 square feet, and more than likely 225 square feet to go along with a 60-foot sign. So, again, with the variance, like any other variance, you gotta find that an undue hardship exists on the property to allow that variance to exist. And that means that, you know, it's gonna sound like a high bar because the variance is a high bar, but essentially it's that as the rule applies to that particular location, that it essentially makes that an unworkable, you know, an unworkable use of land for that. And so your development services coordinator has issued a memo that recommends that you deny it because they feel that they haven't met the undue hardship.
I make a motion that we deny resolution 1372.
Second.
Mr. Stamps.
Four.
And Ms. Nundoff.
4.
Okay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 1373, a resolution considering approval of a project for the Brookshire Economic Development Corporation under section 505.158 of the Texas Local Government Code to purchase a generator for emergency backup power at the City of Brookshire City Hall.
So, Council, this was actually just approved by the EDC. It was posted for an agenda last month's meeting, but time constraints wouldn't let them meet. We'll get to this item. Tonight, right before this meeting, the EDC met, held a public hearing, received no negative comments from the community, and so unanimously voted to approve this as a project. The 505.158 project of the EDC allows EDCs and in cities of population of 20,000 or less to approve expenditures and all kinds of stuff, that if there's a unique type of project that comes through. The EDC found that this supports proposed or expanded business by having access to some kind of emergency resource center in the city. So they recommend approval of that. The catch for a 505.158 project is that you have to, as a council, have to approve a resolution of 2 readings. And so if you approve it, this would be the first of that reading. And then the next meeting, we'd have the same resolution for a second reading for approval.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 1373.
Second.
Ms. Nundoff
4.
and Mr. Hill.
4.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1374, a resolution authorizing an electrical upgrade of the City of Brookshire City Hall to allow for the use of the emergency generator.
So council, what we have here is part of the ability for us to have an emergency generator, our electrical system is vastly out of date. It's potentially the original. Additionally, we have 2 electrical service panels to this building, which in order to have a generator power this entire building, that has to be combined. Additionally, on top of that, the electrical panel itself is has some issues within it as far as arcing and that kind of stuff, and it's actually a hazard in the way it sits right now. Again, the EDC approved the actual generator purchase itself, but due to supply chain issues, well, a couple of issues. Number one, due to the type of project, there's like a 60-day window before the EDC can even purchase, so go into contract for getting that generator. Additionally, due to supply chain issues, we're sitting 6 to 12 months before that size generator components are ready to even be put together to ship to us. So what I'm asking the council to approve is the 3 items outlined in blue, which would allow us to now, in here the near-term future, go ahead and upgrade the electrical to the building. And they would essentially, for this, would also put in a temporary access, and the county has agreed, in the event of another disaster or need, they would ship their generator down here, and we'd have the ability to tap into that, and this building would be usable in that event. Once that the new generator comes in and is installed, that temporary access would stay. So if for any reason we ever had another issue where, say, that generator went down, they could still do the same thing down the road. But this would get us on the road to having everything ready, so when that new generator comes in, we can tap into it, and we're not worried about waiting a year potentially and having God knows what else happen in the meantime that would not allow us to service the citizens of Brookshire.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 1374.
Second.
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
4.
Mr. Hill.
4.
Okay, motion carries. Agenda item number 8 is discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1375, a resolution creating animal welfare advisory committee. Ms. Newendorf.
So we kind of discussed it, I think, at the last meeting about the creation of the different committees. I know that there was some discussion that stated that there was an animal welfare advisory committee that was previously acting. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Branch, I believe that you stated you would like to have that committee reenacted. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm in support of that. I think in the different committees that I had proposed at our last meeting, I don't know, and I guess you can provide clarification if we have to name those committee members, or can we just name whoever's going to chair the committee, and that way the committee could be open to the public for involvement as they wish.
Well, generally, the way these are, so this resolution, the next 2 are almost identical.
Right.
Setting the committees up. It's up to you to decide how you want to do those committees. Generally, though, the council will appoint, most all the time, councils appoint the committees. And so that's what's intended here, is that you create whatever committees you wanted to create, and then the council, has the discretion to put people on those committees or not, depending on
Okay.
the rules that are associated with them. This particular one, the animal welfare, the only questions I would have that you might want to build into this one, you don't have to, is that if you want, well, first let me say this, I think the animal welfare committee that was in existence probably was never formally created. It was probably just a minute
We
thing or
voted
something.
for that committee, but we need to delete a couple of the members and add Chief Miller in place of Chief Jackson. Lee Jones was on that committee, and I'd like to add Jessica Warthall. Should I name the rest of them?
Well, let me finish. The reason I was saying that is because I didn't know that there was another committee that was already established. But if it was, I was assuming that it wasn't formally created through resolution, or there's no call out for it anywhere in the ordinances. So if it is somewhere, it's probably in your minutes at whatever meeting that was created. this will assume this would override that committee,
Okay.
meaning like that just wouldn't exist, and this one would exist in place of it. So, so to answer your question, Councilwoman, is that it's assumed that the council would place everybody on the committees. And there's an item, I think a couple items down that assuming these get approved, that you can have time to do that there. Or if we want to wait till the next meeting to assign people to those, that's fine.
Okay.
But generally, it's the council that does that. My only comment on this one, it sounds like you're getting at it, is that if you want specific, like seats or chairs or whatever you're gonna call them, places on the committee to be tied with certain like industry, like if you want somebody that's a vet
Correct, yeah.
or has some experience, and we can make sure that's included, and we can include that in the resolution. For the other two committees, I didn't structure them that way, but if you want to do it, so when we get the other items about the parks and the events, if there's something like industry specific you wanna see, generally those are structured right now that's anybody of interest can join those, or you can appoint somebody that has interest. Here though, if there's something that you all feel more comfortable with, a vet or some animal services history, something like that, or public service, public safety, like the police chief or whatever needs to be on it, then we can make sure that's specified. So that's one thing for this particular one. All three of the committees, I've left blanks for how many members. You can choose how big you want them to be. Another thing is that, and you don't have to accept it, you can amend it, change it if you want. Structure them in a way that they're gonna be subject to the Open Meetings Act, meaning they gotta post their meetings. But for quorum purposes, that, again, not knowing how big they're gonna be, you could run into an issue if you say that in order to meet, you have to have a quorum present. And why I'm saying that is because generally these advisory committees, you're not subject to the Open Meetings Act, and you don't have
Right.
to post them, all that stuff. But if you wanna do that to make it, just we have something up so people know to come, then the quorum requirement is just whoever shows up from the committee. So it's like you could have, if it's a 5-minute committee, one person shows up, you can hold the meeting. It's just they can't take any action. That would require the majority of the board, if that makes sense. And you do that just so that you don't have to cancel a lot of meetings and trying to get membership there. You can continue to have meetings. If someone can present something, then you can do that. But again, that's all up to your discretion, how you want to see these things formed.
I think my initial desire going into it was to look at the three different committees, since like you said, they are kind of structured the same way, as at least naming a chair, and then maybe at the next meeting, then at that point, that gives us time to discuss who we would like to appoint to the committee. I know the animal welfare one seems like it's already pretty fleshed out. We have some veterinary representations, rescue organization representation, police, things like that. And then the others, I think I would like to just have an opportunity to reach out to people who we know are going to be interested and will commit their time to meeting on a regular basis and things like that. But in terms of chairing the committee, I think my first initial thought was that maybe a single member of council could chair the committee and then have other people be a part of it. So your name came to mind for chair of the Animal Welfare Committee. And then I know Ms. Taylor in the past has I think she was kind of already officially, unofficially in a position of like being chair of the events committee. And then I was going to offer myself to serve as the chair of the Parks and Recreation Committee. I know that's looking at the next resolution, but.
How about board membership? Do you have a preference on how many members of the board?
Well, on the animal welfare, just my opinion, I would like to see that be, I'm adding,
You're good?
it would be 6 of us, but we also wanted to be able to, there's a lot of animal lovers in the world.
Yes.
Right, Val? And we would like to give people opportunities if they would like to join. No membership dues or anything like
Yeah,
that,
none of
but to be able to come
Participate,
in and
yeah.
participate, and if we done fundraisers that they could help, and hey, the more people, the better.
Yes.
Well, I think the language that's being presented allows ability to create subcommittees. So if you wanted a fundraising subcommittee of the committee, you could do that. And that wouldn't require, I guess my other concern would be for like the animal welfare, are there decisions y'all may need to make that are time sensitive? Because I think the initial desire is let's have as much public disclosure as possible, but how is that going to affect an issue such as animal welfare? More so than parks and recreation, or more long-range looking, hotel, motel, and the event planning.
Well,
It's almost like that needs to be separated into a different workable committee that's not as subject to,
Yeah,
Sure.
all of them are advisory only, so the only thing they can do is make recommendations to you as the body. And so,
Okay.
Right.
and so that's why the open meetings thing, I just put that in there to be more of a, transparency thing for the public, in case, they wanted to know where the Animal Services Committee was
Okay.
meeting, you could have that posted, but generally not a requirement, but if you want to build that in, you can.
so that leads me, I guess, to my second question on the Open Meetings Act side of it. Are they required also to keep minutes of the meeting?
They would have to do that if we,
And those minutes are subject to the act, which requires a certain statute time period for those to be posted on the city website, correct?
yeah, we would follow all the open meetings requirements for each committee.
Okay, thank you.
So then each committee, as they meet, I mean, the council person would be the chair, but then once they meet, they could appoint a secretary, or recording secretary or something like that. Okay.
since I volunteered you, Chief Miller, just say, yes, I would love to be part of that committee, and we can just move forward. Thank you, Chief Miller.
What an agreeable committeeman.
I think these three agenda items are just the resolution creating the committee.
Correct.
And then we'll discuss in 11 the actual
And we'll just, and
appointment.
if we're gonna, you consider them together, that's fine. Maybe we call it this particular one just because it's maybe structured a little different.
Sure.
And did you want to have, it sounds like you want to do I'm hearing now 6 members. Do you want to have those seat specific, like one public service officer, one committee member that's like vet experience, something like
I
that?
could see the benefit of having them defined, but at the same time, I think it would also, I think the committee could also just take that into consideration on their own without having to draw it out.
Sure.
So if we're going to
Y'all are
consider them
smart.
together, then 6 members.
And I'm fine with the 6 members for the others
All
as
those two?
well. Yeah, just to keep it consistent. And those could just be named member positions that are nominated, if you will. But once again, public meetings, anyone could attend and provide input. But then if it came down to making decisions, those may not be able to offer a vote if we're voting on any type of recommendation to present to council or something. That would help keep too many cooks out of the kitchen.
Sure.
Okay.
And we can do I think you're fine. So if you want to consider resolution 75, 76, 77 together as 6 members.
Yep.
And then we have an item later when we appoint people, you can appoint the chairs at that time for all of them.
Okay, so the chairs don't need to be named tonight. Okay. Then I move to approve Resolution 1375, 1376, and 1377 with the appointment of 6 members per committee.
Second.
Would just like to point out the efficiency of that.
Just for discussion, each one of those is a 6-member body.
Correct.
Member board, yes, sir.
So their requirement for quorum will be 4.
Well, the way I've structured it, that's what I was trying to say, the quorum requirement to hold the meeting is 1 person.
Okay,
It's
all
just,
right.
it's just the members present. But
That's all I need here.
If they wanted to take action, then it would be.
It will require the quorum of
4.
4.
Yeah.
Perfect, okay.
But that way it would prevent meetings continually getting canceled
Right.
because of somebody not showing up or whatever.
Okay. Mr. Stamps, your vote,
4.
and Mr. Hill.
4.
So that knocks out 8, 9, and 10, right?
You see what I just did for you there? You see what I just did for you there?
Yeah.
9, 10, we're down to 11.
Maybe we can get out of here before 2 late.
We haven't gotten to future agenda items yet.
We'll cut it down to 1.
This microphone is.
Okay, agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding appointment of the following committees. Hotel Motel Grant, Animal Welfare Advisory, and Parks and Recreations.
I know sound somewhat prepared to name the animal welfare, but I would like to see us open the door to allowing citizens to apply for these other committees before we just name them. I'm okay with approving A, but I'd like to see BCD put out there at pasture, so to speak, for 30 days and let people express interest, and then we can come back to this at that time.
Just council, I think Claudia is looking at the hotel motel grant committee, how it was approved and what the actual members are. So I mean, I don't think you're ready to have action on that one either. So it sounds like we could just table this and put it on a future agenda.
Well, yes.
I
Is
mean,
there?
well, if your motion to table it to 30
Yeah,
days or something like
Yeah,
that.
but is there a need to go ahead with A? Is there an urgent need? That one sounds like y'all pretty much know who y'all like on there. Is there a need to
Wait
approve
till
that
you
one
all-
or wait?
I think that we all agreed upon, every council member got to choose someone, but that we would reach out to what used to be the board members and see did they still want to participate, if my memory serves me
Yeah, I'm talking about
correct.
just the animal welfare at the moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking
was
about A.
talking about hotel.
Yeah, A,
motel.
oh, I apologize. We discussed animal welfare first before. That's my forwarding on there. B. Do y'all know who y'all want on B?
I can tell you it's Tammy Livingston. Rodney, are you with me back there? Julia Stansner. Chris Warthall. Jessica Warthall. Chief Clyde Miller. And Mayor Pro Tem Kim Branch.
So, Mr. Pruitt,
Mhm.
can the motion be to approve those for B, but table A, C, D?
Yes.
That would be my motion.
Second.
You said table what, which?
A, C, and D.
Would there be a time limit or time frame for the chairs every year, or does it stay?
So that's one thing too, the membership is for at least for the animal welfare, Parks and Rec and City events, so the animal welfare committees, we have them serve them for 1 year. And so, I mean, so essentially once a year they'd come back and you reapprove them. There's no limit on how many times they could serve, you just essentially approve them up every year.
Until
And just
someone says
maybe
I
to
quit.
clarify the motion, maybe amendment to the motion, of those did you want to be the chair of that committee?
I think Ms. Neuendorf said that she would like for all the committees to have the
That-
council person.
Councilperson chair. I think just for
Okay.
continuity, and then also whenever we talk about like the future agenda items of having your department reports and your committee reports, if no other committee members could be present, hopefully a chairperson would be present who was a council member that could provide a report if necessary. I just thought it would be easy.
That's about fine. It was just in the way those other resolutions are written. I don't know about motel grant, but it says the council's going to appoint the chair, so that by default, you're appointing whoever the council representative is going to be the chair
Okay.
of that committee.
Okay, we have the motion from Mr. Hill, the second from Ms. Neuendorf, and Mr. Stamps, your vote?
4.
And Ms. Branch, your vote?
4.
Okay, motion carried. And agenda item number 12, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 1378, a resolution authorizing the sale of animal service structure as surplus property. Ms. Neuendorf.
Yes, and Mr. Pruitt, I apologize, I didn't return your email. In my mind, I answered you and
Okay.
didn't actually hit send, but I did not have any edits to the resolution that you had proposed. So essentially, the animal shelter building that was constructed behind the current police department, I think we've all kind of deemed that it's not appropriate, not usable in its current state. And so we would like to enter in the process of being able to sell that building as it is. And Mr. Pruitt has done the due diligence of just making sure that we go about the process as legally bound.
Just so we're clear, I mean, when cities sell items like real property, land you're selling or things like that, there's a lot of steps to go through. The difference here is that by designating it as surplus property, just not fit for the use it was intended for, or whatever it might be, not necessary, then you can sell that, but you put the parameters how you're gonna sell it. And so the two things, listen, not two things, but the three things here, you're understanding it to be surplus. The structure that you're gonna build around that to make sure there's no issue is that the sale is not gonna create a conflict of interest. So someone, can't come in and just try to undercut the city, whatever, and then we find out later that, either they were related to somebody here or somebody they purchased it from, that kind of thing. So we vet the people that are doing it. And that's gonna be after, a bidding process that the mayor recommends or the designee. So we gotta post it for sale somewhere and do it in a way, and then you sell it to the highest bidder. But if that bidding price that you got is not satisfactory, we can call it and sell it to what makes you satisfied, so.
Mayor, I noticed you shaking your head. Well,
I recommend that we don't sell the building. I recommend we use it as a storage. And we can also use it, make a small office for our building official to have a small office in there. And because we got a lot of paperwork in this building that needs to be stored or shredded or whatever. And also I know the PD has a couple units or one unit over at the raw storage. That's what I recommend we do with it.
the court department also has,
Yes, that too.
uh,
All of them. I know, how much stuff y'all got over there, Miss McFarland? Quite a bit or
We
small?
have some, but we have some room, so, I mean, as far as storage, but I think it's
Yeah, instead of, selling the building, I think it would be better off if we just use that building for storage or whatever.
Is it appropriate for storage since it has a dirt floor?
Well,
Well-
we'll have to put a floor in it.
part of that contract was, if I remember correctly, and we'll have to ask Miss Harrison, but correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Yolanda. Part of that contract was that once the electricity and plumbing was put in the building, that company would come back and pour I guess, yeah.
So,
So it's really not gonna be we already paid for it.
okay,
The,
the 43-ish thousand, was that with the foundation?
yes.
So why was a final check cut if the foundation's not there?
Oh, Mr. Hill, please, let's not go there today.
I mean, that's just,
Because I think
I
that was a
mean, it
part of
should-
my initial concern is that whenever we were discussing it previously, it was communicated that the $43,000 was for the shell of the building only, did not include HVAC, plumbing, electrical, or foundation. And so that was my initial thought, was to sell the building as it was to try to recoup some of those losses.
It's
So-
the stamps.
I
Do
don't
you remember?
recall.
I don't
I
either.
don't recall.
Because I thought, in like the meetings that I attended, because I know, I believe it was Mr. Jones that was heading up this project primarily.
Right.
In the meetings that I attended, if I'm recalling correctly, there was several discussions, and it was very clear that that cost included the shell of the building only. So that's where I guess I have a concern, is if we're gonna use it as storage and we do have to put in I mean, I don't know, are we talking about climate controlled storage? That if it is storing of sensitive documents, we're gonna need to fence it and secure it, some flooring, because right now, I mean, it's dirt and there's gaps, so I don't think that would be a very good
I
storage.
have this brilliant idea.
Uh-oh.
How about I make a motion that we table this till we can revisit the contract?
I've got it
And-
right here.
You have a copy
Actually,
of the contract?
Oh, my,
I just pulled it up.
you go, Mr. Hill.
Technology.
There was a concrete option for a 40 by 70 4-inch slab. No, I don't see a carve out for. I'm not going to say it's not in the fine print, but in the additionals, there's the posts, the joist, which, and it says concrete option 40 by 70 slab.
That,
option or is
It-
it just
it
It
supposed
says
to be?
concrete
That's what I'm saying,
option,
option or agreed.
but then the full
reason-
price was, listed below that, so.
The reason that I sort of remembered that, because I sort of had a little bit of a fit, because why didn't we get a floor?
Right,
And
I remember.
I spoke to Tim, our building inspector, and he said this is quite common nowadays with barn dominiums, that they set the building and then they allow you to do electrical and plumbing and whatever else you need, and then come back and pour the flooring.
That's backwards to me.
It's
Yeah.
backwards to me, but
I would just be concerned about a 4-inch slab also and the structural integrity of it. It's not, that's like a patio thickness
if
slab.
y'all don't want it for storage and you want to make a motion that we go ahead and sell it and don't pay attention to Mayor Branch, I bet you that.
Well, I think a cost analysis needs to be
Discussing.
done to know what that's gonna cost, before we make any decision to get rid of it or convert. We kinda need to know what the numbers look like,
I'm
'cause
in agreement with you to table it so that we can get some answers to these things.
Well, I guess I'll make that motion that we table it until the next meeting.
Second.
And we need to have those answers by the next meeting.
Mayor, that wasn't nice.
What?
Still say we need to make it a storage. Anyway,
Okay.
Ms. Nundo
4.
and Mr. Hill.
4.
Agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 1379, a resolution approving the quarterly investment report for the period ending February the 28th, 2020.
Mayor and Council, this item and the next item are essentially the same thing. It's just the quarterly reports from the period ending February and then the one ending in May, I believe.
In my package, just February.
Well, there's, Resolution 79 is February, Resolution 1380, the next item should be.
Right,
Should
what
we
I'm
make
saying
it-
is I don't have I have all the information on 1379, including the monthly statements, but I don't have a statement past February. Because that was gonna be my first question, is that normal to be that far behind in those statement dates?
I think Mr. Chambers sent these over. From what I understand, Mr. Chambers sent these over and said they need to be approved by resolution. And there's a Public Funds Investment Act, which requires a quarterly approval.
If the rest of the council's comfortable, they may go ahead.
That, I'm just saying, if you don't have, so on, just my question, I know it's the next item, but Resolution 1380 doesn't have any attachment to it.
Would you like to,
I'll be glad to.
Sorry.
So for our edification, Mr. Pruitt, do you want to give us kind of the rundown of why we particularly invest in these accounts?
I don't have the answer for
Okay.
why you do that.
I'll tell you.
Please do, because the return on it's pretty abysmal.
We voted as a council to put $50,000 quarterly in a tax pool fund instead of investing in CDs, because supposedly it wasn't so much for the interest, but you don't pay a penalty if you need to use that money. There's not a penalty on the tax pool.
But yeah, from what I remember, I think that happened about a year or so ago when Councilman Green took the lead on that, and that was the idea, is that the withdrawal from one of the accounts was, you had no penalty, and that's what the newly created account was for.
And that's the reason that we done tax pool instead of
CDs.
CDs.
But I don't see any deposits in this 6-month period. We've made $7 in interest, but that's it.
Well, it says 0 deposits, so I make a motion that we table this till Ms. Harrison can be present to explain why there's been no deposits.
Second.
Is that for resolutions 79 and 80?
Yes,
Well, I would assume Ms. Branch needs to amend hers if she's good with that.
I amend mine, to be table agenda items number 13 and 14, resolutions 1379 and 1380 until Ms. Harrison can give us clarity.
Second.
Mr. Stamps, your vote?
For.
And Ms. Newendorf.
4.
Okay, motion carries. We're going on to number 15. Discussion and possible action regarding creating a permit clerk position. Mr. Hill?
Mayor and council, this is the job description as provided to us by Gunda for a bona fide permits clerk position. If you want to pass it down, take a look at it. I believe she sent it to you, Mr. Pruitt. Again, in prior conversations, there's a need to address the process of permitting. And I think we're in a position now where we need to bring someone in that has some prior experience in that process, because we've got a lot of work to do. Doesn't mean that our existing staff can't be retrained under that person, but I think we need a dedicated point person that has prior experience doing this, that can take what the SOPs are that have already been given to city staff by Gunda and move forward with them. My only request would be that city council would have the final say on who this person is as far as approval.
Are there SOPs
According
for
to
permits?
Gunda, there is, and it's been reviewed by city staff twice.
Ms. Lopez?
SOPs.
You
Standard operating
understand
procedures.
standard operating procedures. Has Gunda gave y'all a standard operation instructions on how to take in permits?
I mean, they've sent stuff through email, but as far as been approved, all been approved, I'm not sure.
So that would be my motion, as we create this position.
What's your motion?
To create a position of permit clerk with a requirement of prior experience at another municipality, city council having the final say on the initial hire.
Second.
How quickly are we wanting this position to be in place?
As soon as we can get it posted and filled.
Okay, Mr. Stamps, your vote?
For.
And Ms. Newendorf.
4.
Okay, motion carries. Agenda item number 16, discussion and possible action regarding escrowing garbage fees into yearly taxes. Mr. Hill.
So, Mr. Pruitt and I kind of discussed this briefly. I had asked for a representative from Brookshire Municipal Water District to be here, and obviously we do not have one. It's my understanding, and I just want to, for the record out there, put it, we collect, or excuse me, Brookshire Municipal Water District collects our trash fees, our individual resident fee for per can tax, all that jazz, right? And then they are charging the city a fee to do that, is my understanding, per
Yes,
whatever agreement's in place.
$1.50
Per can or per account?
per account.
Okay.
But then they wanted us to accept their
Taxes.
taxes. And Miss Branch thought fair exchange ain't no robbery, and so we're charging them $1.50 to collect their taxes.
What about the paperwork?
Was that approved?
Yep, sure
Okay.
was.
I remember that meeting.
The other problem we're having is when someone has, and Miss Baines was here and she unfortunately left, when people have an issue like discovering they've been overcharged, it takes an act of Congress because it keeps ping-ponging between city and Brookshire Municipal Water District for them to get a refund on said charges. Other municipalities do where they escrow it into the yearly tax, and escrow may not be the right word that you want to use for that, but they essentially charge it with your tax and statement for the year, and then you're done for the year.
Right.
And so I'd like us to discuss and let you tell me the pitfalls and all the great stuff that you have to say in doing something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's one community that does that in the area, so we can follow their lead and how they structure it. Ours, of course, is gonna be a little different because we have a water district and we have an interlocal agreement that's tied into our tax collection agreement. So there's two different agreements in place in our, right here that affect how we do that. And so, I mean, I think the action to take here would be to pursue that and bring something back to you, make a proposal, but it's probably gonna mean that we're gonna have to, it looks like we're gonna amend the collection, the tax collection contract anyway, but even if that doesn't occur, we still have to amend that tax collection agreement because it calls out, there's like a tie back between the interlocal for how we collect for water district, and then this trash collection fee. There's two provisions in neighboring contracts. So, but yeah, so I think the action tonight would be that we bring something back to you. I can work with you, Councilman Hill, for that,
Sure.
and just brings a proposal that will kind of hit those. But it may be like a 3-tiered thing to address those contracts.
And can the initial proposals have a rollout period of time, say over a couple of years?
I'm sure they
Okay.
could do that.
That way we're not, the concern is, in some of the residents I've talked to, is all of a sudden they're getting hit with an extra $36 on their tax bill. And they've not budgeted accordingly that time of year for that increase, just using 36 as a number. So I'd like to see maybe if we have a way to transition that over a period of a couple of years, that way it's known, and by some point, we're just where we're at.
And then the city's contract with Republic would be effective with that too, in case,
Yep.
I mean, some of that stuff may be that they have the right to come in and adjust fees
Yep.
if we've agreed to that. So that's at least 3 contracts.
So how would that work? Say that, October 1st, taxes go out, we just give a number of $100 for trash pickup for the year. And then all of a sudden, the next budget time, or the next contract time, I'm sorry, Republic goes up 3 cents per can. How are we gonna,
That's what I'm saying. I think the collection structure right now is a month-to-month deal. And so that's why if we do this, we'd have to figure out if that's gonna affect how they would.
Contract changes.
Yeah.
in refunding? I know at one time we spoke about this in the past, and Ms. Harrison was concerned about refunds on rental properties. But 9 times out of 10, rental properties, the landlord pays the
Property taxes.
property taxes as well as the water, and it's in your rent, so I don't see that really posing a problem. Would you agree, Ms. Swamp? Okay.
Even if somebody were to sell the property, that could be probated at the time of sale with the
Sure.
escrow account settlement, so I don't think
Right.
it would be a problem at all.
Yeah, then we'll have to get with the neighboring cities, how they handle, like, what would happen if someone paid, they're paying their full year amount, and then they move
Right.
6 months in, what happens to that? And then the same kind of thing, what happens if they find out somehow they've been overcharged? Then what do we do with that? And so those kind of issues. But again, I mean, that's things we can build in. It's just gonna be, because of the layers here, it's a little bit more complicated.
And while you're thinking about that, I'm gonna look at that glass half empty again, Mr. Pruitt. And all of a sudden, Republic doesn't pick up the trash, and we change trash companies in the middle of the year, and the fee is either greater or less than. How much problem is that going to be? Or should we just shut up and,
Well, that's, again, the contractual thing that we'll look at with the Republic deal.
okay, Think about that while you're passing out them
For sure.
gummy bears.
All right. That would be my motion, is to task Mr. Pruitt to come back with some options for us to look at.
Second.
Take Ms. Newendorf's.
Mr. Stamps?
4.
And Ms. Branch.
4.
Okay. Agenda item number 17, discussion and possible action regarding all heads of departments to attend city council meeting. Ms. Branch?
I thought that it was already a rule, law, in our policy, however you want to put it, that the heads of department was required to attend each meeting, and when they're not here, we've already experienced that tonight. Thanks to Mr. Kelly, he sent Ms. McFarland. But we don't have a city secretary, we don't have anybody from the court department. And questions, and thank you, Rodney, Jennifer, and Yolanda. But when we have questions that only a department head can answer, it throws this off. And we
Delays
have to
things.
table stuff, and then it gets put on the back burner, forgot about, never comes back to life till, 3 months down the road. Oh, yeah, we forgot to discuss that again. So I would like to make a motion that we require all heads of departments to attend city council meetings,
Our representative.
or send a representative.
All right, second.
For discussion purposes, and this may cause an amendment, what I would hate to see is that a department head says, I'm gonna use you because you're here. Miss McFarland, you go in my place for the entire year.
Oh, but no.
So there needs to be an
There-
amendment with an attendance
Okay.
requirement.
What's the exception?
There's an exception, and I get that. I mean, I totally understand that. But I also know if you leave it wide open,
Yeah.
it's
that's-
gonna get
Abused.
abused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, unless my amendment is the only excuse for not attending would be illness, vacation,
Death in the family, of course.
Extenuating.
With notice given to the mayor.
yes,
Thank you.
with the notice given to the mayor. And if you're sick, I think we might want to throw that doctor's note in there. Because I really don't feel like playing anymore.
Notice to the mayor for illness.
Okay. Did we have a second? Oh, that's right, Mr. Stamps. Ms. Nundoff?
4.
And Mr. Hill.
4.
Okay, motion carries. Agenda item number 18, discussion and possible action regarding invoice payments and reports. Start. Complaints.
Go ahead.
Miss Yolanda? I've yet to see a cell phone bill for the mayor's phone, city secretary's phone, public works director phone, and police chief's phone. Do we get those monthly, or what's the process there?
The process is those bills are automatically paid because they're just bills that are automatically generated. So I don't know where it came from, if they were automatically paid. But
Okay.
that's been the process ever since I've been here.
What other bills are automatically paid?
I would say training, bills for training, say for instance, certain credit card bills for training, invoices for training. It comes like in the credit card deals, those are automatically paid.
And you call that what again? I just want to make sure I have your term. Was that not prepaid, reoccurring? How'd you term that?
Yeah, recurring bills that occur every month, that council has, or whomever has approved that they have a cell phone bill, that they
Okay.
have a cell phone, that they are automatically paid every month. Say the, guy that does the mosquito spraying,
No.
council approved that his automatically be paid, so therefore I put the bill in there, I put prepaid on there to let the council know that this is the bill that he presented to us.
Okay, but not the cell phone.
No, not the cell phone.
Okay.
What if the mayor talked too long on his phone and it was an outrageous bill? Would y'all just pay it, or would y'all put it in the, 'cause he talks a lot?
No,
Seems like a heavy talker.
that's
just-
not quite right.
Generally the same
That-
amount every
That's what,
month.
that's
Thank
what
you.
that was my question.
They're always
He didn't like your analogy.
Same one that I sign every month.
Just didn't want him to get outrageous because he don't get to speak at home. I didn't want to let him, you know.
over the amount.
So, it just, again, for my edification, the cell phone and the credit cards, the council does not see.
No, they're not put in the packet.
Okay.
Any other
So are you
discussion?
wanting those in there every month?
Well, if council's made previous approval that it's not in there, I can't just universally say yes, but to me, that's very concerning that I was under the impression, and this, again, doesn't reflect you at all, okay? Please don't take it any way like that. I was under the impression when I'm looking at the monthly invoices, that I'm seeing our monthly invoices. And then, a few months later, I'm going, well, wait a second. I've not seen a cell phone, and I know multiple department heads have a cell phone. So it just makes me go, okay, well, what else are we not seeing? Then here it's credit cards too. The credit cards fluctuate, right? Some months there's more charges on it, some months there's not. Doesn't mean that anybody's doing anything wrong, but it's kind of concerning that we're not having some oversight to know how the money's being spent and where it's going, right? So that's where I'm going with that.
I think to piggyback off of the same concern, so we have like the global pest control invoices that are marked as prepaid. So we do get a copy of those, even though we know that they are prepaid.
But that's just something I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just told to pay them, but prior to that, I had been putting them in the packet.
Right.
So I just continue doing it and just let the council know, hey, these are the days that he's
Mhm.
planning to make sure that this is happening.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because there was an action by council to go ahead and appoint it as prepaid, so, which I understand with that. But I think to Mr. Hill's point, we have some invoices that are included in the packet that are marked as prepaid. Other prepaid invoices are not included in the packet. So I think that's where he's saying, correct me if I'm wrong.
Look into that to make sure that council didn't approve those invoices or those credit cards to be,
Mhm.
prepaid prior to.
Or even if they were to be prepaid, if there wasn't, like you were saying, if there wasn't some sort of action to say they should not be included in the invoice packet, then maybe there could be a simple request just to include all of them. Yeah.
I've been here a long time and I don't remember.
Taking any action on it.
Okay, what we gonna do here? Any more discussion? As motion?
Make a motion that we approve all invoice payments and reports.
Second? Come on. Look like you wanted to say something, but you.
Just deliberating. I'll second the motion.
You will?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Abstain.
Ms. Branch?
I abstain.
Mayor Branch?
It's all on you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Y'all so nice.
You're welcome.
Well, I think we should go ahead and pay them because people want their money just like we do. And with the suggestions of Mr. Hill to look into that and try to have that corrected and move on. Okay?
That was a deliberation in my head.
Agenda item number 19. Request for future agenda items. We'll start with you, Mr. Stamps.
I don't have any, sir.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Is that a bless you?
That was not a bless you,
Oh,
but I
well, bless
appreciate it
you anyway.
nonetheless.
Okay, Ms. Nundo.
I mean, I guess we already approved the resolutions for the committees, but I don't know if we needed to make it an agenda item to just say that we would be appointing the
Yeah, I
committee
think
members.
You put you tabled all three of them, the hotel, the
Oh, that's right, we
event
did, in
planning,
the
the
following
other
one. So, not at this time then.
No?
No, because the other ones were already tabled.
Thank you. Mr. Hill.
Discussion and possible action, a cash acceptance policy for property tax payments.
Say that again.
Cash acceptance policy for property tax payments.
Second. Mayor.
There's,
It's just for a future agenda item
It's
to be
for
discussed in the
future
next city
agenda items.
council
You'll
meeting.
have to come back in 2 weeks.
Okay, Mr. Hill.
Discussion and possible action for the minutes of the Youth Advisory Commission and City Council to be brought in compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
Second.
Minutes and the yak, right?
Yep, and City Council.
We were in compliance with what?
The Open Meetings Act.
You got 2 up so far this year.
Huh?
You got 2 up so far this year.
On the EDC side, not on City Council.
That's an improvement though, so.
It's a start, right? Mr. Hill, any more?
Discussion and possible action with Ms. Harrison present are bill invoice reports, what is included and what is not.
Second.
Oh, I guess I didn't take no votes on the other ones, did I?
We could just vote on them all.
For that too?
Hmm?
No, go ahead.
Any more, sir?
Did you take a vote
Oh,
on that one?
no, I didn't.
For.
Ms. Branch, hold on, you seconded. Mrs. Stamps,
4.
Ms. Newendorf,
I'm for all 3.
okay. What about you, Mr. Stamps, are you for all?
Except for,
All 3 though.
yes.
Mr. Hill,
Just 2 more. Update on the emergency management planning workshop scheduling.
workshop schedule. Second.
Second.
Mr. Stamps.
Four.
Nundo.
4.
Last one, discussion, possible action.
Hey,
Oh, whoa, you got 3.
3.
I was fixing to say,
Ain't caught up with the
but
last
since
one.
them other two didn't, have none,
I'll give you one more.
Yeah, I don't know, I've seen an ordinance that minimizes how many we're able to
We
put on
made
there.
that the last meeting. I told you the last.
That was action of the council?
You haven't limited, there's no limit on future agenda items. You just said last time you're gonna keep it to 2,
To 3.
3.
I'll keep that in mind for next time. But, discussion, possible action to include discussion with Public Works Director regarding the ditch and drainage plan, as well as grass maintenance.
Second.
second.
Mr. Stamps.
Four.
Ms. Nundo.
4.
You have any more?
Told you that was the last one.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Ms. Branch, it's your turn.
Discussing impossible action with the update on the billboard at Highway 90 and Grisham. Are you cringing now, Mr. Pruitt?
Second.
Mr. Stamps.
Four.
Mr. Hill.
4.
Discussion and possible action, might have to help me here, Mr. Pruitt. I spoke with Miss Lotta today from Gunda, and they had tweaked some ordinances that just took some unnecessary stuff out because it's recognized by the legislative motions now. And it's made it will make the permit process easier. And Ms. Lotta wanted to present that to council to get approval on those tweaked ordinances, so.
So you can just say, I mean, there's, I think, I don't know the specific one she's talking about, but I know that Gunda's got at least, I mean, there's several ordinances ready to go for development standards, but then also she may be talking about the platting process, and those should be easy fixes that are ready to go too. So I mean, I think you can keep it real broad and just say, discuss possible action on updates to development code, and then.
That's it.
Second.
That's my motion.
Would that include the ordinance change recommendations that have already been given and I don't think have been voted on yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's some, because I don't know the conversation you had, but I know those are sitting there just ready to go.
Yes, and when you were talking about it, I was like, oh shoot, that just came to mind, and I was gonna go back and try to add one, but if it includes that, then can we get this taken care of?
It does.
And so I'm just saying, like, why I can keep it that broad is because that's something that's already set, but then the intent was those get set, and then Gunda was gonna have the platting process revisited, and that, I know that's on the horizon, if not set yet, so.
Okay.
And the last one would be, oh,
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
Four.
And Ms. Nundo.
4.
Okay, Ms. Branch.
discussion and possible action, not that I know that it needs action, but, well, maybe it does. Update on online payments that is supposed to go live tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, but I wanted to discuss with Ms. Green tonight that in executive session, but once again,
Is that for the court?
yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Newendorf
For,
and Mr. Wood.
Four.
That's that. Agenda item number 20, council reports and community announcement. We'll start with you, Mr. Stamps.
I don't have any.
Why you always start with Mr. Stan?
goes this way.
There's another Ian down here. Just was a
See,
question.
I'm left-handed, that makes you
Oh,
start
okay.
backwards.
Okay.
Go to the other side.
Hey, we know, you're first all the time.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Steps. I forgot. Thank you for bringing that back to my attention.
Ms. Newendorf?
As begrudgingly as we would like to recognize the fact that school is starting back soon. So just as a community announcement to keep in mind that school zones are going to be in effect and to please pay attention to school buses that have the stop arms, and we should be using caution when we drive anyway, and let's pray for our teachers and our kids this year, because we gonna need it.
You have any more?
That's it. I think.
Mr. Hill?
None at this time.
Are we going to read this,
Ask Ms. Branch?
Yep.
Hmm?
No, go ask Ms. Branch.
no. Ms. Branch?
Community announcements.
Yes, ma'am.
Life's good in Brookshire.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Branch?
No, thank you. I need to run to my car real quick and get
No.
that's gonna be in the card cough drop.
Do you want to give the police chief and/or Ms. McFarland the opportunity to update us on anything
Well, that's all,
related to public works? And
that's what I was asking
perfect.
about then. What did I do?
She's prepared a fine speech, I told you.
Ms. McFarland, would you like to?
If looks can kill.
I would like to compliment this Public Works report, though.
Thank you very much
Yeah,
for this. I
very good
really
report.
appreciate it.
What did I do?
You didn't get one?
Yeah, I had it. I don't know what I did with it. But anyway,
There it
You
is.
got yours?
There's one
It's right
there.
on top of your folder, maybe, or no?
Oh,
Right
right
there?
below.
It's a
Anyway.
slope mower.
yeah, like to say that, Public Works has been cutting grass, trash runs, ditch cleaning, trim trees, replace culverts. And they have several pieces of equipment down. They have ordered signs, for the streets, for the park. Oversee the AC work here at the City Hall. Fix leaks at the splash pad. Weed eat ditch at Bostic. Remove 2 dead animals. And clean Hovis Parks weekly.
Tell Mr. Kelly, she can backspace that last line. He's got Christmas for about the last 2 budgets, so, yeah. No.
They need to trim
Okay.
their slope mower because it's inoperable, and the part isn't available because it's an outdated machine.
Next is agenda item number 21, executive session. I would ask that you all step outside so we can